Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics, I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. But today, I'm not actually reading a comic. I'm actually going to be talking about the first episode of Hawkeye, the new Disney Plus series Hawkeye. And so I just thought this could be fun to just dive into, and I just want to go through my notes with you and talk about what I saw and what I thought was worth talking about. So I'm just going to go down my list. First and foremost, I think that it's really important to mention that this show is based on the Matt Fraction, David Aja Hawkeye run. I think it's super important because you can totally see through the imagery in this volume and what we saw that it's obviously the number one Hawkeye run to ever go through, except for something like, West Coast Avengers, but this is the mainstay. And even I think Matt Fraction and David Aja deserve the credit. So this is a super important text in what this show is trying to do as a whole, and I wanted to point that out. You can definitely feel the influence. With the introduction of Kate Bishop, you can see her in this, you can see her in that. I think it's really important to allude to the fact that they are building to the Young Avengers. I think the only one that we're missing at this rate is going to be Hulkling. That's about the only one I don't know that we have. I think I got to go through the list. But as of right now, that's the one I don't see. So I think that's super important to talk about. And this show in particular is something that is so important because I think this is the last original Avenger who is finally getting his own solo content, even though it's not solo, but it is Hawkeye's property. And that's so important because he is someone, Jeremy Renner specifically, is someone who deserves this moment. So I'm glad that this is coming out. Now, let's just get into the episode. I think this show feels the most familiar out of all of the other Disney Plus series that we've experienced. Obviously, WandaVision and Loki were super meta, but this one just felt like, I don't know if it's because we're back in New York or because the first scene of the entire series was going to be opening up and talking and addressing Avengers 1, but it just felt right. It felt familiar, even though we're following a brand new character for a lot of this show. So I don't know. I just thought that was really important, and it was really nice. It was very homey. The use of Clint and his family, and then Kate experiencing what we had seen previously. And that's actually something I want to talk about too. I like this, what they're doing in the MCU by addressing that all of these other events that we've seen have happened. We keep referring to the ramifications of Avengers 1, the ramifications of Avengers Endgame that continually pop up throughout the series because that's so important because they did happen. And so I'm really glad to see that showing up in these shows. And also with that, we see how that's affecting Clint. Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, I think, is one of the most underrated and underserved characters in the entire MCU. So to see that they're having those moments is really nice, and that him addressing the specific loss to his friend was awesome. Another note I took, because we experienced that when they went to the Steve Rogers play that was basically Avengers 1 in a play form, and him specifically dealing with Nat's loss, I just really liked. And I like the fact that it's oddly on brand for Clint Barton to hate musicals. And so obviously he left because he knows there's emotional reasons, but also I just feel like he did not want to be there anyways. So that was, I like that little detail. Let's talk about Haley Stanfield's Kate Bishop, because I think that she is such an interesting character. I read this run a long time ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, and so it's not very fresh in my brain, and I didn't have time to reread it before the series came out. So that being said, with this, Kate Bishop, this and Young Avengers are my only exposure to that character, and so I think that Kate Bishop, I really like what Haley Steinfeld did with that character, because she seems very leaps in head first, doesn't think about all of her actions and the reactions that are going to come her way. So that being the case, I enjoyed that part. She's very fun and very quirky, and she kind of stumbles her way through, but there's this adventurous spirit that comes with her, and that really just like translate. I think that's a part of the character that I recognize, but in particular in this text, I thought was super special to see. I found her very likable, and from what I briefly remember, I'm excited to keep going with it and see where that takes us. I'm also, I guess, where I'm winding down with my notes, I like how they brought the Ronin suit back. I think that arc for Clint, we kind of see him picking up the pieces of his life, and that arc for him was very neat to see because, well, we have the Ronin suit back, and how that brought him and Kate together was really neat. I like that he's leaning to his family. I like that we're getting very diehard feels from this show. And I feel like it's a really true return to the MCU. So it's just, I'm not as much a huge fan of the meta stuff that's happening in Loki and, even What If, and WandaVision was really good, but I think I'm really excited for just some earnest, like, family fun thrills that I think Hawkeye is going to be. So I think it's stacked up to be really good. And I'm just really excited to follow this series. So I think I'm going to be doing videos like this to go over them. I'll try and hit them up soon. I've only watched episode 1 because I don't have time today to watch episode 2. So as soon as I watch that, I'll be back to talk with you guys about it. I'll take notes about it. But yeah, remember, I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. Sometimes I watch them and then I'll review what they got going on. So make sure to clap with those like and subscribe buttons, as well as leave me a 5-star rating and review. Take care, guys. Bye.